5. Ryanair responded by saying that passenger numbers had risen 80% in the previous 6 years, and this was a more accurate reflection of the airline's popularity than an unrepresentative survey of just 8,000 people. 151. In August 2019, Ryanair came bottom in an annual which survey rating the customer services of 100 popular UK brands. 152. In 2002, the High Court of Ireland in Dublin awarded Jane O'Keefe €67,500 damages and her costs after Ryanair reneged on a free travel prize she was awarded for being the airline's 1 millionth passenger. 153. 154. The airline has come under heavy criticism for its poor treatment of disabled passengers. In 2002, it refused to provide wheelchairs for disabled passengers at London's Stansted Airport, greatly angering disabled rights groups. 155. The airline argued that this provision was the responsibility of the airport authority, stating that wheelchairs were provided by 80 of 84 Ryanair destination airports. 156. At that time, a court ruling in 2004 judged that the responsibility should be shared by the airline and the airport owners. Winking sad smiley. 157. Ryanair responded by adding a surcharge of 50 pence to all its flight prices. 158. In July 2012, a 69-year-old woman, Frances Duff, who has a colostomy, was refused permission to bring her medical kit on board, despite having a letter from her doctor explaining the need for her to carry this with her, and was asked by Ryanair boarding staff to lift her shirt in front of fellow passengers to prove that she had a colostomy bag. Duff had previously attempted to contact Ryanair on 3 occasions to inquire about its policy regarding travelers' colostomy bags, but each time no one answered the phone after half an hour. 159. On the 4th of April, 2011, Ryanair began adding a surcharge of €2 to its flights to cover the costs arising from compliance with EC Regulation 261/2004, which requires it to pay for meals and accommodation for passengers on delayed and cancelled flights. 160. Ryanair did not offer customers the possibility of contacting it by email or web form, only through a premium rate vanillin, by fax or by post. However, it does now have a web form contact option and a live chat. An early day motion in the British Parliament put forward in 2006 criticised Ryanair for this reason and called on the company to provide customers with a means to contact the company by email. 161. Ryanair offers a basic rate telephone number for post-booking enquiries in the United Kingdom, which chose to omit the exemption for passenger transport services when enacting Article 21 of Directive 2011/83/EU on consumer rights under Regulation 41 of the Consumer Contracts, Information, Cancellation, and Additional Payments, Regulations 2013.162, improved customer service and attracting families. On the 17th of June, 2014, Ryanair announced a new campaign to reinvent itself as a more family-friendly airline. Speaking at the company's 2014 AGM, Chief Executive Michael O'Leary said that the airline needed to stop unnecessarily pissing people off. Ryanair said up to 20% of its 81 million customers were traveling as families, and it wanted to raise that figure. Kenny Jacobs, Ryanair's chief marketing officer, said, "Families are a big deal for us. It's a group of customers that we want to get closer to." 163. As another step, the company launched live chat on its website to improve the quality of service and experience provided by the company. 164. This change in their approach had an almost immediate positive effect on the company's finances. 165, flight cancellations in September and October 2017. Ryanair was subject to widespread criticism. 166, 167, 168, 169, 170, after it announced that it would be cancelling between 40 and 50 flights per day, about 2% of total daily flights, during September and October 2017. Flights were cancelled with very little notice, sometimes only hours before departure. Ryanair said that the cancellations aimed to improve its system-wide punctuality, 171, which had dropped significantly in the first 2 weeks of September, which the airline attributed to ATC capacity delays and strikes, weather disruptions and the impact of increased holiday allocations to pilots and cabin crew. 171. In subsequent statements, Ryanair acknowledged that it had messed up holiday schedules for pilots, including a change to the calendar year for how vacations were calculated. 172. In late December, a survey rated Ryanair and Vueling equally the worst in the world for customer service among short-haul carriers in the which survey. Ryanair responded, his survey of 9,000 which members is unrepresentative and worthless. During a year when Ryanair is the world's largest international airline, 129 M customers, and is also the world's fastest growing airline, up to 9 M customers in 2017. We have apologized for the deeply regretted flight cancellations and winter schedule changes, and the disruption they caused to less than 1% of our customers. 173, language test. In June 2022, Ryanair faced severe anger and backlash for making South Africans take a general knowledge test in the Afrikaans language before allowing them to board UK-bound flights, as a means to verify that their passports were genuine. South Africa has 11 official languages, of which Afrikaans is the third most spoken, with a prevalence of 12%. A majority of the population cannot understand Afrikaans, and many refuse to speak it on principle, as it is regarded by some as the language of oppression during the apartheid era. 174, Michael O'Leary subsequently announced that the test was being dropped following outrage in South Africa. 175, 176, publicity. CO2 emissions. In 2018, Ryanair became the first airline and the only non-coal power plant to be among the 10 companies with the highest amount of CO2 emissions in the EU. That year, Ryanair had an emission equivalent of 9.9 megatons of CO2. Emissions had risen by 49% over 5 years. Environmentalists criticized the airline harshly and saw it as a sign of the lack of taxation of aviation. 177. In 2020, Ryanair was criticized for releasing misleading advertisements through their claim they were Europe's lowest emissions airline, using figures from an airline efficiency rating dating back to 2011. 178. Controversial advertising. A Ryanair Boeing 737-800 displaying by Lufthansa titles referring to German competitor Lufthansa in 2008. Ryanair's advertising and the antics of Michael O'Leary, such as deliberately courting controversy to generate free publicity for the airline. 179. Have led to several complaints to the Advertising Standards Authority, ASA, and occasionally court action being taken against the airline. 180, 28, 181, 182. An example of this was the live BBC News interview on the 27th of February, 2009 when Michael O'Leary, observing that it was a quiet news day, commented that Ryanair was considering charging passengers £1 to use the toilet on its flights. The story subsequently made headlines in the media for several days and drew attention to Ryanair's announcement that it was removing check-in desks from airports and replacing them with online check-in. 8 days later, O'Leary eventually admitted that it was a publicity stunt, saying it is not likely to happen, but it makes for interesting and very cheap PR. 183. The concept of Ryanair charging for even this most essential of customer services was foreseen by the spoof news website the Mardale Times some 5 months previously. In its article, Ryanair announced new pay-per-view service. 184. Ryanair often uses advertising to make direct comparisons and attack its competitors. One of its advertisements used a picture of the mannequin pies, a famous Belgian statue of a urinating child, with the words, "Pissed off with Saebner's high fares." No fares have arrived in Belgium. Saebner sued and the court ruled that the advertisements were misleading and offensive. Ryanair was ordered to discontinue the advertisements immediately or face fines. Ryanair was also obliged to publish an apology and publish the court decision on its website. Ryanair used the apologies for further advertising, primarily for further price comparisons. 180. Another provocative ad campaign headlined "Expensive Bastards" compared Ryanair with British Airways. As with Saebner, British Airways disagreed with the accompanying price comparisons and brought legal action against Ryanair. However, in this case, the High Court sided with Ryanair and threw Baz case out, ordering the BA to make a payment towards Ryanair's court costs. The judge ruled the complaint amounts to this, that Ryanair exaggerated in suggesting BA is 5 times more expensive because BA is only 3 times more expensive. 185. In 2007, Ryanair used an advertisement for its new Belfast route which showed Sinn Féin's Martin McGuinness, Northern Ireland Deputy First Minister and a former senior commander of the IA, standing alongside Party President Gerry Adams with a speech bubble which said Ryanair fares are so low even the British Army flew home. 186, 187, 188. Ulster Unionists reacted angrily to the advertisement, while the Advertising Standards Authority said it did not believe the ad would cause widespread offence. 189. An advertisement depicting a model dressed as a schoolgirl was accompanied by the words "hottest back-to-school fares." Ryanair advertised 2 Scottish and 1 UK-wide newspaper. After receiving 13 complaints, the advertisement was widely reported by national newspapers. The Advertising Standards Authority, ASA, instructed the airline to withdraw the advertisement in the United Kingdom, saying that it appeared to link teenage girls with sexually provocative behavior and was irresponsible and likely to cause serious or widespread offense. Ryanair said that it would not be withdrawing this ad and would not provide the ASA with any of the undertakings they seek, on the basis that it found it absurd that a picture of a fully clothed model is now claimed to cause serious or widespread offence when many of the UK's leading daily newspapers regularly run pictures of topless or partially dressed females without causing any serious or widespread offence. 190. In late 2020, the airline faced criticism over its Jab and Go advert. 191. Misleading advertising. Although it usually does not serve the primary airports of major European cities, Ryanair has been criticized for placing the names of famous cities on distant secondary airports that were not built for tourist traffic and lacked transit links to the main city. Examples include Paris-Beauvais, 85 km, 53 mi, north-northwest of Paris, Brussels South, 46 km, 29 mi, to the south of Brussels, Milan-Bergamo, 45 km, 28 mi, from Milan, Frankfurt-Hahn, 102 km, 63 mi, from Frankfurt and actually closer to the cities of Koblenz and Mainz. Dusseldorf Wies, 83 kilometers, 52 mi, from Dusseldorf and closer to Arnhem or Essen. Glasgow Prestwick, 55 kilometers, 34 mi, from Glasgow. Stockholm Skavsta, 84 kilometer, 52 mi, from Stockholm, and Barcelona Rias, 88 kilometers, 55 mi, from Barcelona. Frommer has dubbed Ryanair the ultimate bait and switch airline for this deceptive practice. 192. Ryanair was ordered by the ACA to stop claiming that its flights from London to Brussels were faster than the rail connection Eurostar, because the claim was misleading. Due to the required travel times to the airports mentioned. Ryanair stood by its claims, noting that the flight time is shorter than the train trip and that travel time is also required to reach Eurostar stations. 193, 194, in April 2008, Ryanair faced a probe by the UK Office of Fair Trading, after a string of complaints about its adverts. It was found to have breached advertising rules 7 times in 2 years. ACA's Director General Christopher Greer commented that formal referrals to the OFT were rare, the last occurring in 2005. He added that the ACA would prefer to work with advertisers within the self-regulatory system rather than call in a statutory body, but Ryanair's approach has left us with no option. Ryanair countered with the claim that the ACA had demonstrated a repeated lack of independence, impartiality and fairness. 195. In July 2009, Ryanair took several steps to increase the clarity and transparency of its website and other advertising after reaching an agreement with the OFT. The airline's website now includes a statement that fares don't include the optional fees /charges, and they now include a table of fees to make fare comparisons easier. 196. In July 2010, Ryanair once again found itself in controversy regarding alleged misleading advertising. Ryanair circulated advertisements in 2 newspapers offering £10 one-way fares to European destinations. Following a complaint from rival carrier EasyJet, the ACA ruled the offer was likely to mislead. 197. Ryanair did not comment on the claim but did it back at EasyJet, claiming it cared about details in this regard but did not itself publicize its on-time statistics. EasyJet denied this. In April 2011, Ryanair advertised a place in the sun destinations, but the advert was banned when it was found that some of the destinations experienced sunshine for as little as 3 hours per day and temperatures between 0 and 14 degrees Celsius, 32 and 57 degrees Fahrenheit. 198. In 2016, Ryanair stated that websites such as Apodo and CheapOair and their partners engaged in screen scraping and false advertising, and attempted to prevent them from showing Ryanair data. 199. In February 2020, the Advertising Standards Authority told Ryanair to provide adequate evidence to support environmental claims after the ACA banned adverts that claimed Ryanair was the lowest emissions airline in Europe for being misleading. 200. Ryanair had claimed in the adverts that they had the lowest carbon emissions of any major airline, and it was a low CO2 emissions airline based on Europe's top 27 airlines. 200. The ACA queried some figures and the definition of a major airline for the purposes of assessing. 200. Complainants said the adverts were misleading and could not be substantiated. 200. In response to the ACA, Ryanair cited data from Eurocontrol and airline efficiency rankings from Brighter Plant. 200. However, the ACA said that Ryanair had used an efficiency ranking from 2011 which was of little value as substantiation for a comparison.
Yes, the video splits in 10 seconds and power is so low. continue this camcorder. So stop the video.